Well, welcome to another edition of the Average Pastor Podcast. I'm Mark, here with some Average Pastor friends. We got some special friends today. So the usual
We might actually be going over average right now. I'm a little sheepish about this moment.
So again, we're out the cabin and we're missing Jake. We're sad about that.
Moment of silence.
Moment of silence for Jake, who's not with us. He's in a better place. He's at another lake house.
He is actually
in Wisconsin, so he's doing great. But I'm joined here with Drew Stevenson, who was here last time, pastor at Redemption Church here in Minneapolis, and drum roll, Paul Sabino. Let's go. Paul Sabino is here from Gainesville.
I don't know what I did. I don't know what I did to get invited to the lake.
What you did wrong
here.
Okay,
what did you do wrong?
Paul, we are going to start. Paul, do you know what this? Paul doesn't even know this podcast exists. So Paul, do you know? You didn't even know you were going to be on this until 2 minutes ago.
Until an hour ago, I wasn't even sure it was your birthday, Mark.
Okay,
that we were celebrating the 50th birthday thing.
We're gonna start with story time with Paul Sabino. This is the most Paul story ever.
Yes.
So Paul, tell us the story.
It's like almost an hour ago, maybe a couple hours ago.
Okay, so tell us the story.
Scott and I are driving north of Minneapolis. My flight had landed. He picked me up. We're about, an hour from the cabin.
This is Scott Rieger, who's elder at
Candale Church, and he picked me up. So we're coming on up here, and he knows Joe better. I know you better, and he goes, "Yeah, it's just here for Joe's 50th birthday." And I said, we're here for Mark's 50th, Joe and Mark's 50th. And Scott goes, "Really? Mark's turned 50 also?" I'm like, "Man, I thought he did." I was in the text, the 50th text and everything. And I said, "I'm not sure now." And Jenny was just saying to me the other day, she goes, "Mark can't be older than me. I'm pretty sure I'm older than him." And she's good with details. I'm like, "He must be, because I'm going to his 50th birthday." So all of it is now coming to a head in the car, and I'm realizing I totally flew across country thinking it was your birthday, and it's not even your birthday, And
I still forgot a gift.
Oh, I'm happy to celebrate Joe, but I can't believe I got that wrong. And but we did scroll back through the text. Turns out we're celebrating yours too. So
we are.
Yeah,
we threw mine. I think it's just that Joe. So originally Joe's birthday is tomorrow, and Drew's is on Sunday. So we're like, let's combine the writing retreat with some birthdays, and then Joe didn't want to celebrate his 50th alone, so pulled me in. And so, that's the story. But you flew across country to be a part of a birthday.
I wasn't sure.
Didn't know.
No, I got invited. So I was just happy to get invited to something, honestly.
It's only another 4 months
This was
away.
the second biggest surprise then, that you're on the podcast.
Yeah. They just keep coming tonight.
Here's a story.
Who knows what's going to happen at midnight?
I told Paul this last night, Joe. So you guys intersected at a engineering job out in Clinton, Iowa or something. Was that where you were doing a co-op and Joe came out? What?
Yeah, I think I was there first, right, Joe? And so I was an engineering student and mechanical engineering, just like Joe. And I got hired there I spent about a year there on two different, most of like 6 month long things. But I was there, and then he came on out afterwards.
So Paul, tell us about this. So last night, Joe was saying, man, when I got there for my co-op or whatever, they just couldn't stop talking about Paul Sabino. Paul Sabino, he was amazing. And
we miss Paul.
And I reminded you just like 15 minutes ago, I was like, Paul, just look around. Like this could have been you, I said, Joe has done very well as an engineer. I think you would also have done well. And you were telling me about
instead of the miserable failure that you've been on your career.
So,
now you find yourself.
Is this how the podcast goes? Average pastor gets roasted.
This is a
making
roast.
The biggest mistake of his life and becoming a pastor. You're so below average. You suck so bad that. Oh, wait for it. It's coming.
You could have owned a cabin and welcomed us all here, but instead,
So, Paul, tell us.
Hey, listen, I asked who to Venmo when I got here because I was just happy to be fed. So,
Paul, you got to tell the story though that how many years did it take for you to make as much money in ministry as you did at your co-op
as an intern?
As an intern engineer,
it might have been most 10 years, maybe 5-10 years.
That's so wrong.
It's crazy.
It's criminal.
I think somehow I was like the second highest paid guy that year
out of Iowa State.
At Iowa State, and then we jumped on full time with Cornerstone, which we were happy as could be to be a part of it.
Wait,
but I'm like,
who in the world hired you?
Yeah, I know.
Such miserable
who would have done that?
wages?
Jeffrey J. Dutch.
You are that man.
The funny thing is I would go to Hy-Vee, or I don't know if we could afford that fairway. Like, I just remember going, these food stamp, whatever these pieces of paper are, get me a free block of cheese, a free gallon of milk.
Dude, you lived on that stuff.
Yeah, and I thought, that's because we're below the poverty line. That's how we were getting those things. But we were at
I don't know why they're giving us free cheese.
All I know is the Cornerstone benefit of new employees. I never got those at Equistar Chemical.
Tell Troy. Yeah, he was.
Dude. If it's any consolation, we both share the same pockmarks from giving.
I gave plasma. I gave plasma.
We all have
again,
the mark.
And again and again. Until they said, we need to have a conversation with you.
Oh, dude, I remember that.
And I was like, well, they said, you got to come back to our office. And I thought, all I've seen is beds in here, so I didn't know they had offices. And they said, yeah, come on back here. And I walk on back into an office. There's a guy sitting across a big desk. And I sit up and I'm like, what's going on? I'm like in the, and he says,
give me my $25.
Where's my, no doubt. Am I about to get, chopped up, my organs sold or whatever. But I'm like, and he goes, we have been tracking your numbers and it turns out you have a low liver enzyme count and you'll no longer be able to donate here. And I said, oof. At first, it felt personal. It felt like, don't just say that.
You can't say
like,
come around the other side of the desk,
how many days do I have left? Like how many, what are we talking, doctor? And I said, well, what are you going to do with all my plasma? I've been giving it for months or a year or whatever, and it's all going to Cornerstone to some, your move, big move, keep moving.
You asked, did you literally ask what he was going to do with the plasma?
Yeah, I said, what are you going to do? Because I know they froze my bags of plasma or whatever. I'm like, what are you going to do with all my frozen bags? And he goes, yeah, can I sell those? I need something. Dude, can I trade these for blocks of cheese? We're running on empty, man. The campaign is going to go on. Troy will be mad. So I'm like, what are you going to do with my bags of plasma? And they said, we're going to find all the bags of plasma you've donated and destroy them all.
Oh,
nothing can be used.
I remember that. I remember you coming over and
it just felt like I had just gotten broken up, rejected, and I just felt like my heart sinking. I said, how much time do I have? And then he took, this is an old school stamp.
You said how much time?
No, I didn't say that. I added that. But you know how you had the old school stamps where they blot them in ink and then they stick it on your sheet. Well, then normally they're small. He had a stamp that was as wide as an 8.5 sheet of paper. And it might have been longer because he could have gone diagonal on this. He brought out an ink case and I just watched him dip it. And I thought, oh, no, you're not. And then he goes over my paper and goes, and across huge red letters, permanently deferred.
Oh, rejected.
I'll probably die before I get my car.
You went from, okay, so tell the story about your conversation with your boss that tried to get you to come.
Yeah, I don't know.
To convince you.
Joe, if he was around Peter Henches, I think was his name.
We have a studio audience.
Unbelievable. Yeah. Unbelievable guy. I think I had done, decent at the co-op or whatever, and he was offering me a full-time job, and I knew that I wanted ministry. I mean, that was part of those college years of just going, I'm teasing out both. I'm going home to be a summer youth pastor in the state of Nevada, where I came to Christ at a church and was doing that kind of thing. I think you were doing a similar thing in Omaha. And then I was also trying to, run out the co-op experience in engineering and feel like I got a good data on both. What would I have? So I felt like the Lord is opening up a path in ministry. So I never felt like I was losing in it. But I also knew that the salary I was going to get offered was going to be multiples more. You know what I mean? And I said to Peter, who was putting the salary package together, I said, don't even mail it to me. I didn't want to see it. I didn't,
Yeah.
Just because, you don't want to mess with you or whatever. But what's crazy is I never felt like I was making a sacrifice. Like I felt like God was inviting me into something. And it is funny that Joe is here kind of in the peanut gallery, like in the audience of this podcast, because he and Amber, I couldn't tell you how many years, became some of the strongest supporters I've ever had in all the years I've done ministry.
Wow.
So, little known fact, and I'm sure you've been that way for so many people, Joe, but so whatever, God puts whatever he's going to put in your hands, and then you steward it because they're his dollars, and they flowed very quickly and very liberally through his in order to support me. And so many people have been like that. So, there's
a lot of us, Paul, that like speculate about our lives if we weren't in ministry, Yours, like, it's a lot of speculation on how I would have done with my liberal arts degree, but yours is pretty objective. Like, you and we're not gonna tell our audience how much you make, but we were just talking, and I asked you, and I'm telling you, you don't make very much money. And what I'm saying by that is, Paul, it doesn't seem to bother you at all, because you are, I just have seen this over the year. Jeff, you can especially attest to this, but Paul, you are a pace setter for all of us in ministry of pastoral integrity, of what Paul says when he's like, to the Ephesian elders, that they're not greedy. And I just think that you are exemplary, and I, as we're talking and I'm asking you questions about now your financial situation, I feel like you are leveraging all you have for the kingdom financially and this church plant. I wonder if you could talk to us about your journey. Your name is Paul. You're a lot like the Apostle Paul. I think you share his heart for starting things, and God has used you to plant like multiple churches, not just like, I just see that your heart is there. Maybe, do you remember when we were standing on that pile of dirt?
Yeah, of course.
Tell that story and just where you went from there.
Yeah, that was a lot of years ago. Mark, you and I, the Cornerstone staff at that time, no one thought of like 10:02, stop and pray that. But at 3:00, and we stole that from somewhere in the book of Acts, at 3 p.m. or whatever, they would go to the temple and pray or something. I'm sorry, I don't know the reference. But so it was kind of a thing in the office. People would croak that little prayer frog little thing from Thailand.
Yeah.
And you'd hear that thing, and it's like everyone, like they were zombies, like we were all a part of some big cult, would come walking out of the office to the center, and we would pray.
This is 20 years ago, 2006, I think.
Yeah.
Because it was that pile, or 7.
Yeah. And so at that time, who knows, was it your move, your next move, a bigger move, keep moving? I can't remember what iteration or what campaign.
It was the pile of dirt. They were Cornerstone was building the new auditorium, and there was a big pile of dirt there.
So they had excavated for that project, made a huge pile of dirt, which I was so flat. We were probably standing on the highest point in the state of Iowa at that moment. But we went out there, Mark, this is how I remember it. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think at our 3:00 on that day, we walked outside, and as we prayed, it's not like you could see that far, it's Iowa, but you could, in your mind's eye, at least go, man, University of Minnesota, Minneapolis is right over there. University of Wisconsin, Madison is right over there. Like, you just start going, there are many schools. And I remember we began to begin to think and begin to pray, what if what God had done here that we so delighted in food stamps and blocks of cheese and all the rest. Like, we never felt like we were losing. We always felt like we were in the middle of something beautiful that God was doing, and loved it, loved every bit of it, loved our friendships. But what if God would do this not here on just this campus, but what about across the state? What if it's too much for the state of Iowa? What if this should be happening at universities? And so it was far from a vision yet to plant churches and all these major universities. But I believe that was beginning to bang around in our hearts to just go, why not? Blessed to be a blessing.
We could see, and I think both of you had this sense that this was a holy moment.
Yeah.
I remember standing there and just like, it's like we could see across really most of Story County and all those fields, but it's like we were seeing the world. And I remember that. And just, there was also this like excitement. There was a excitement and trembling. Like, what is that going to mean for us?
Yeah.
I don't know if you felt that, but so God has done amazing things. Talk about your journey from that dirt pile to Gainesville, to the swamp of Gainesville, but just give us some kind of
the most delightful way for me to speak of it, as I'm the least likely guy to be a part of it. And you talk about the average pastor. I was in my estimate, I don't think this is
false humility.
False humility. I don't think it is. The reputation I think I had when it came to the world of ministry, like, people knew I would work hard at things, and I would, and I was sincere in my pursuit of Jesus, but I didn't start things. I don't know if I ever started anything. I think Troy would have said to me at those years that I would step into what was going good and make it a little bit better, and I think that was probably more my reputation. And I was never going to come up with Gospel 101 or, at that time, theology of the gospel or whatever. Like, that was Jeff or someone else. But I could go in, I could learn how to teach it or whatever. So I felt like that was more my reputation. It wasn't full of faith. It wasn't starting new things. I didn't have that anywhere in my past. And so the reality is, as I began to teach more and give more leadership at Cornerstone, Cornerstone had helped start a church in West Des Moines, and they were in need of a more teaching pastor, gifted person. Well, that was Jeff here at Cornerstone. I was not going to be that. And it's like, here's an opportunity, a church we just helped plant. So I was there, but only there for a year. And it's crazy because, Troy circled back about the opportunity to plant at UNI. You had gone. I mean, that was a hard one, Mark. I've given a bit of thought to that one. When you went to plant Veritas, man, it was kind of like the most beautiful set of relationships with Jeff, you and I, and Mark were coming apart in some ways. And you had such a strong gift of leadership. You took almost everyone with you. I mean, God was you are that guy. You are that full of faith, full of vision. That is how you've always been that. So I think people could see it in you. You were inviting me into that. I didn't feel like it was the best thing for me at that time. But it wouldn't be but a couple years later, when I was being approached about the University of Northern Iowa, Candeo Church, what would become Candeo Church. And even I remember Troy talking to Brandon from all those years ago and Brandon going, Paul, are you sure? Paul Sabino, you're saying that guy to plant a church? And Troy looked at him and he said, look, well, what's the worst he's going to do? It'll be great, or it'll be awesome.
And
I'm like, so the biggest encouragement I got was, what's the worst that could happen? It'll be awesome, or something like that,
Is that the tagline of the podcast?
Yeah.
I feel like it changes every episode, but
totally.
What's the worst that could happen?
The worst that could happen is that we could actually all get fired. And that's part of our other goal with Paul is we're going to dangle worms.
Listen, you've already been doing that. I have felt fresh temptation to joke around in very inappropriate ways, and I've already fallen for it a little bit, Mark. I'm going to be my best behavior.
I noticed when we started recording, you went mute.
I did. I'm not normally on these things, and I know you're gonna ground some juicy sound bite. We're gonna get roasted.
So what's the worst that can happen?
Yeah. And
so let's send him up to
I went
Cedar Falls.
Yeah. And even that, I think, was started on the student side more with the faith of Stan.
Yeah.
I mean, that Stan was working so hard. No one works harder than Stan. And so Candeo Church was like, plant the church, just add water. I mean, it's unbelievable how God blessed that so quickly. But guys, my winter there before that thing got started, it was so, not haunting, that's to put it too strong. I remember lying in bed looking at the ceiling on a cold winter night, and there's 0 people coming to church because there was no church. We had just moved there. And how do you start a church? I still never read a book about it, And you hadn't read a book. I had never read a book. I don't know that we said we shouldn't, but we just hadn't, And I'm like, how do you start this? I'm going to the field trips. I'm going to the gym. I'm starting to share Jesus. But what do you do? How do you start a church? And I remember just looking up at the ceiling, and then Jenny in those kind of like quiet, cold, Northeast Iowa, like winter night going, Paul, are we going to be okay? And all I could say was, Jesus said, I will build my church, and the gates of hell will not prevail against it. Jenny, I'm putting everything on that. He's going to do it. We're going to be okay. And then that would be enough for her, and I would roll over and be like, oh, God, please. Because other people have started churches that have not gone well. Like, oh, Lord.
The city is
how do I know that works for this church? Yeah. Do you know what I mean? But I'm like, she didn't hear that side of it. But multiple nights, she would ask me that. And so there was desperation. I wasn't a starter. I followed on the heels of others, and God did something special. And the planting of Salt Church in Gainesville, I was 6 years into Candeo. It was beautiful with Scott Rieger, Cody Klein, Jake. I mean, just great, godly people. Jordan Prohoda there. It was a dream team, and a stirring began in me that I couldn't explain.
Do you remember your 40th birthday party? I showed up for that one.
Yeah, with some cinnamon rolls. And you had eaten the center out of all of them because that's the kind of friend you are. You did that at Bergie's. And yeah. Where were you going with this?
What I was saying is, I drove up to Cedar Falls, and I brought all these cinnamon rolls, and I took the middles out because Paul accuses me of taking the best part of the cinnamon roll.
We split a cinnamon roll at Bergie's once. I did the hard grind work of eating around the outside edge. Dry, hard, crusty, no icing. I did that. And then we got to the center. You took the whole thing and dropped it down the hatch. I thought, you jerk.
And you jerk. Paul, here's the real difference between you two. You had full awareness of every step, every moment along the way. Oh. Mark,
I was just eating the cinnamon roll. I was like, Paul must love.
Jeff, you're actually being more. You're being more gracious towards Mark than you even know, because Mark and I, the reputation we had, we were like 2 elderly people. Everywhere we went as a staff team, probably because we were broke, we split meals. Remember? Yeah. We get some, we would split it or whatever. Mark would cut it in half. He'd slide them both towards me because he knew in my conscience.
Yes,
I would take the smaller one. Yep.
So he was always the hamburger and just put them both in front of Paul.
You're always trying to get the bigger one.
Intentionally.
Yeah.
Cut one side a little bigger.
Wrong. That's wrong.
Paul, so I show up and I take out the middle of all these cinnamon rolls and I ring the doorbell and Paul shows up.
You ding-dong ditched my...
Yeah, I ding-dong ditched him. And anyway, here's where that was going, Paul. I remember sitting down with you on your 40th birthday at maybe Perkins or wherever we were. And the beginnings of this wrestling in your heart were happening. And I'm like, Paul, you cannot leave this place.
And the rest is history.
Yeah. but no, this is the encouragement, is your ambition is tethered to an even greater ambition to submit to the Lord through the elders. And I know that was a process for you because I was 40 and it had to have been 2 or 3 years later that you went to plant. So it's not like that was from when the wrestling was in your heart and to actual, it was like years. And so it was not a, and you were just wrestling with wanting to.
That was one of the most unique trials in life because I had a desire and a drive to do it again. And I didn't know where it was coming from other than the Lord, because I wasn't discontent with money or friends, or there wasn't some negative story of leadership at Canday, or there wasn't like some backstory someone's going to find out and go, oh, you were running from. I just was like, God, please let me go. Please let me do it again. I have a drive in me. But I remember, Mark, I was reflecting on this today on the flight here. The elders were very slow to get on board with that. And it's such an interesting story that I would be also, what's going on there? Come on. We were just in the middle of remodel. We just bought the building. It was like not the time to get ready to be talking about this. And it was like, I remember one of the elders, hey, talk to us about that in 5 years from now. For right now, we got work to do. And it's like, and to hear that, I just felt like, you're going to kill me. Like, I feel like I have to go. You have to let me go. But I was like, but there's a big difference in being sent out or being sent away. And I wanted to be sent out under their blessing. And so I knew if the Lord's going to in it, he's going to lead them to it as well. But in that struggle, I remember this was the memory I had literally flying into Minneapolis, thinking about our friendship, Mark. I was about to go into an elder meeting. So many elder meetings, like, oh, we didn't get a chance to talk about it again. Maybe next time. Well, we ran out of time. Maybe next time. And I was in that, this is killing me, And I was in the auditorium, Scott, this was before an elder meeting. We were going to have it up in that upstairs room. I was in the auditorium in the dark, and I was just in agony because I'm like, I'm not trying to do the wrong thing, but there's a drive in me and a passion, and I think it's from the Lord, but I need you guys to be in it with me. And in the midst of that struggle, my phone rings, and it's you calling me. And the Lord has done that so many times. It's almost like God's given you that prophetic gift and you just knew when to call. Maybe I was on your mind or whatever. I'm like, Mark, this is where I am. And it was almost like Jonathan, David had gone out to find Jonathan,
to help him find his hope in God.
Find his strength in God,
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, that's where I was at. Jonathan had come, to help me find strength in God in the midst of a low spot. And we prayed together and praying in faith and whatever. And in time, that was their hearts. Like, this could be the greatest thing for our church. Let's do it. And God blessed it, but that was a struggle. And yet the Lord gave me you, and gave me others to help me believe I'm not doing a wrong thing. But it was maybe a unique thing.
So you end up moving to Gainesville. What was the process for that? How did you, because your heart, you're from out west, from Nevada and.
Yeah, I didn't want to go to Florida. I mean, you probably knew. I all my research was on UC Davis and Sacramento. It was UC schools, San Diego State. It was Boulder, Colorado. It was a little bit towards Boston, but the West is what Jenny and I are familiar with. It's that whole run of UC schools up and down the coast. I mean, that's kind of the area that I like most in the world. I mean,
and Jenny's from Southern California.
From Ventura, Ojai, 37 miles from where Hamby planted. You know, I mean, she's right down the road. Yep. So that was her place. I know the coast really well, and so I was like, okay, I've never moved where I wanted to go. I've always moved where I sensed God was working. And you don't take the job because it's got money. It's like, what do you think God's doing? Jump in on that. So I never thought of Gainesville, Florida. I mean, it was like sort of the last spot on my mind. But the way it happened is I was actually overseas with my family at the time. Troy went on a trip to Florida because two different places in Florida were saying, we're trying to reach Florida State. We're trying to reach USF. We are big churches in those places. How do we better do college ministry? And Troy ended up at one of them. They said, man, we just wish the SALT Network was here. And we wish SALT Network would plant a church down here. And if you did, we would do whatever we could with our money and our people to help make it happen. And then Troy visited one other guy the same day at another state school. And the guy said, almost verbatim, we just wish the SALT Network were here. And if you came, we would do whatever we could to help make that happen. And at that time, I think the idea of the network was really slow progress. Let's not get too far away from the Midwest, slowly, one school at a time. And I had a heart more for the coast and so Troy sent me an email. In fact, he waited a week. He threw it past our elder team. He threw it past the board, and just said, what do you think? And he told those guys, we've got a guy who's wanting to plant again. Maybe it would work. And he sent me an email. My last day of the trip that I was in England at the time, and the email came through and just said, open doors.
Wow.
And we think God might be opening a door that is along the lines of what's in your heart. When you guys get back, maybe we need to take a flight to Florida and tease that out. And when that hit, it was green lights in every way. The Candeo elder team, Jenny and I, the partnership, the dollars, the people, it's like sometimes you can butt your head up against the wall again and again and again because God's not in it. Or the timing is off. It's a good desire. It's the wrong time. And you pray and you agonize and you try and trust and you try and lean into leadership. And then when the Lord says it's time, you couldn't stop it if you wanted to, and it felt like that. It was really special. It gave me tremendous confidence because things have been very hard at different seasons in Florida, but there's no question in my mind, God has done this.
Wow.
So there's confidence
so now,
there.
Just by the numbers, I mean, the college students in Salt Company down there at the University of Florida, I mean, I don't know, it's just like, crazy numbers, right?
Yeah, they have 700 a week. I mean, it's a normal number. They've had bigger, kickoffs are always a little bit of a skew thing, but I was at Salt Company and we got a new building. I mean, praise God, we've been begging for it for so long. And right away, it was so full that every seat was taken. And they had, 100 or so students sitting on chairs outside the building, not even able to get in the building, sitting there watching a TV of what they couldn't get into. And they'll likely go to 2 services this fall. So it is nuts. God has really responded, in a tremendous way there with students.
And yet it's been, you got into a building, and yet speak to the challenge of trying to be a pastor and plant a church that loves college students in a town like Gainesville.
Yeah. So growing up in the military, every 3 years you moved. Your dad got orders and you knew you were going somewhere across the country or the world, and everyone said goodbye to everyone. It was just normal. So I then move into our ministry, into our network. It's normal that college students leave also. You just expect it. It's not every 3 years, it's about every 4 years, and all of them are going to come, all of them are going to go. Almost all of them are going to go. So it felt very normal. All that stuff felt like, my whole life's been like this anyways. What I didn't expect and what none of us expected at Gainesville was that all the community, almost all of them, would be coming and going as well. So we've raised up so many connection group leaders and worship leaders and all the rest, only that they can't find long-term jobs in Gainesville. And they end up having to move to Tampa or you just pick the big city, Jacksonville, Miami, Orlando. Those are the big places with industry. So many of them move and they just want with all their hearts. They are gigging it, working whatever jobs they can, but they're outside of everything they studied. And so Gainesville's been a very hard place to keep community people that you're reaching and raising up. So there was more of that in the Midwest where it's like, someone graduated from Iowa State, but they're going to get a job at University of Iowa. A Cedar Falls graduate's going to be at a school in Des Moines, so they'll attend. That we don't have that, like, they're going to raise a family right around here. So that's been a harder one for us. And the hardest thing, hands down, Mark, has been, this is more for Jenny than me, but Jenny's mom died not long ago. My mom died before that. But it feels like sometimes death by 1,000 cuts, or whatever the expression is, where you've said goodbye to so many people that you've fallen in love with, that there's a weighty sense of loss, that it's not just a one goodbye, and it's not just a few of them, but it's that consistency over years. So I think that's been a hard one, and God's starting to grow us on the community side. I think even having a facility is helpful with that. But that's been a hard one, the emotional struggle of so many goodbyes. Even being here at the lake, I can't believe I'm around you guys, I mean, it's a little surreal. When I first walked up, Jeff, I mean, you gave me a hug, and then we're kind of standing there with an arm around each other going, is this happening?
Yeah.
I felt like we were back at a Salt Company retreat, and you and I and Mark, and I'm like, do we go on the jet skis now? That's what we used to do. Like, it's a whiplash.
As a Wally would cheat.
I see Joe and Amber, and I'm like, oh my word, guys, I haven't seen you in so the dear long-term friends are still around this location, but it's been way more transient, and that one's been a hard one for us emotionally. Yeah.
And then when your friends come down and then they don't come to see you, has that ever happened? Well, the time I called you, I said, Paul, I'm in Florida, but sorry.
Yeah, sorry, I'm not coming. Yeah.
It's a big state.
Yeah, that just adds insult to injury more than anything.
Right.
That's
and
you need to.
Yeah,
I got so close.
The flip side of that is, hey, you're in Florida. That's where I go to vacation. Can we stay for free?
Oh yeah,
and you're like, oh, it's not me so much. It's the house.
Yeah, it's the house,
it's not.
Right.
That's not super common. But I mean, it's just a blessing whenever you get to be around your friends.
Jeff, I wonder if you could your reflections on watching Paul from those early years of, he and Jenny and getting married, and you hired him. And,
I think I remember, the first big goodbye was when we thought we were sending you off to go to LA to go to seminary.
Oh man.
And I was, trying to maybe work ahead for you, getting in touch with Dr. MacArthur and trying to get you a residency and stuff. And just everything inside me not wanting you to go. And yet that season for me going out there had been so rich and so rewarding. I kind of wanted the best for you, but that meant leaving me and just weeping over.
I was trying to remember that, Jeff. I just felt like there was a time where we were like saying goodbye to each other.
It was.
And just crying.
And it wasn't even a sure thing yet. It was that's how, but yeah, you have always obviously been very, very dear to me. And so that was even the thought of this is just the first step. He's on his way. So I'm just saying all the subsequent goodbyes then after that, that was even a fake one.
Yeah.
So we've had to say goodbye a lot. And yet I'm to echo, I think what Mark has already been drawing out of you is just your faithfulness, Paul. I mean, wherever you have gone, you have given yourself fully to the work of the Lord. And if it was that for a season and then you were going to do the same somewhere else, you have been faithful. And it's such a cool thing also, just that tribe of family that you have and watching them respond and support. They have been your backbone.
They have
in every season. Right. And
Jeff, I don't know how this podcast, I didn't know this podcast was happening till I got here. I didn't even know it was your 50th birthday until I almost got here. So, but this is a surprise because this is more about my story, and I'm just learning this as I'm like, when are we going to start talking about everyone else? So I'm putting this together. My high deductive reasoning powers are at work. Jeff, here's what I wanted to say to you. Like, I would have never had that even door open to tease out the whole MacArthur Master's Seminary. But once again, you're talking about me. You set that up. You created that. And then when I got back and was processing it, you said, if you stay, Paul, I will figure out how the local church can provide an education so that guys like you don't need to leave their churches where they're vitally involved in ministry so they can go get educated at a seminary. They can stay engaged. And you began, that was the birth of all things, what was CST, VST, all of your labor and stuff, I just felt like was kindly wrapped around Mark and I and just a couple people who were like, well, I just need to get educated somewhere. I only know what I get out of my devotions. So someone's got to help me a little bit. And your starter tendency, that's what's so crazy. I mean, like, okay, we'll figure it out. We'll start piecing it together. And so I said no to all that. And I stayed where I wanted to be, which was doing ministry with you. And you helped figure out a way for Jenny and I and many other, and how many, if how many listening to this even maybe are being like, I was trained because Jeff gave himself fully to all the hours to doctorate of ministry, all that you've put yourself through to bless guys like me. So I'm so grateful. And that's truly how our story, I mean, that's part of the story. I feel like I'm getting talked about here, but I'm like, that's the reality of it. And God knit that together and brought that about. So I praise God for that.
So journey. Drew, what is it's kind of a cool collection of years of ministry from the kind of mid to late 90s through to your, intersection with Jeff and Paul and me. But like, what's your how Paul's here, and you guys have connected, and you guys first connected at Cornerstone back in the 2000. Well, when I left to Iowa City to plant. But what's kind of your perspective of all this and how things come together?
It's as you were telling your story, Paul, and I mean even as you're chiming in, Jeff, like that was the same conversation you had with me in 2010. So 2010, I was headed to seminary in St. Louis. My parents had just started going to Cornerstone. My grandpa had been saved through Cornerstone in the mid 90s. And so I'd been to Cornerstone, when it was in the middle school, when it was in the first building, all that. And then I had this just reconnection with what God was doing in Ames. And it was actually Jeff saying that same thing to me, right. Like, no, we'll start a seminary program. And it was kind of being pieced together and all that. But I think it's all these things that you're talking about that made me lean in to that conversation and get excited about it. Just the radical submission to local elders.
Right.
Like, oh man, like I'm actually wanting to be under your authority and this learning within the context of the local church. And you can couple that with college ministry. And then, Mark and I's moving trucks kind of passed each other as I was going to Ames to get trained, and Mark was going to plant the first church out of Cornerstone. And part of me's looking over at Iowa City already.
Right.
And I didn't know that God would call me there to be the first like official full-time director of Salt Company. But that was already starting to burn in my heart. But you were one of those guys that I looked up to. And you were one of the 3 teachers at Cornerstone that I had the privilege of sitting under and learning by example what it looked like to teach the Bible and to lead from the second seat or the third seat or whatever seat you were in at that point. And I was just captivated by this vision of leading in plurality in the context of a local church. And actually one of the things that drew me to it at that point was the age and stage of the guys that were being sent out and how it just seemed like you and Mark, the story was not ambitious young guys, kicking against the goads of these leaders and kind of leaving with their middle fingers in the air. The story of
leaving weeping.
Yeah, leaving
because we were going to miss each other.
Yep. And that's the thing that continues to burden me in our network. Sometimes on the negative side, sometimes on the positive side.
Right.
Because I loved so much to see that done well. And even Paul, your example of planting churches in your 40s and I mean,
I do
all that.
If I could add on to that too, Drew, I think I don't know how you'll take this, Paul. I'm just going to say it anyway.
Say it.
I'm almost glad for the tougher path that you've had in Florida, and here's why. For anybody that is just meeting you now through this podcast or whatever, Mark, you would testify when Paul would get up to teach the Bible, it was magical. It was supernatural. I used to call him Apollos because Apollos was the one in the book of Acts that even before he had the full understanding of the Bible, he was a great, compelling teacher, So even as you were learning the Bible and learning how to teach the Bible, you were a great teacher of the Bible. You know what I mean? So what I'm saying is that has always been kind of the aura around you, a great teacher of the Bible.
Totally. Can I just, piggyback on that? So I'm new to Cornerstone, right? But I'm on staff immediately with Cody Klein and Shane Roethlisberger, and they had grown up under your ministry. So it was like, so I had come in, totally from the outside and at that point had been like super influenced by John Piper or whatever. And at that point I'm coming into Cornerstone. I don't think I'd heard you teach yet. And I was like, who's been your influence? And I'm like, John Piper and all this. And they're like, you haven't heard Paul Sabino. It really was. Really was that kind of like,
yes,
like God was using you in a really.
Oh man,
I can say the pond is small enough. Even little fish seem big, don't they?
Paul, I had to take over Salt after you. I can't tell you how many times it was like. Yeah, Mark,
Drew,
it's
Did you start out your messages by saying, I'm sorry?
I'm so sorry that Paul is not here to preach to you
This
all.
was your average pastor training right there.
It was.
There you go.
It's to follow someone like Paul, and that's great. Average pastor discipleship.
Okay, keep going. Yeah.
Let me take back over again because here's what I mean by that.
Oh yeah,
All
you
that
were
is
glad
true.
it was hard for Paul.
Because a lot of these young leaders are going out to plant churches, and if all that they hear or see is instant success and people just the throngs of people coming in, it's an unreal expectation. I'm saying we sent Apollos to this city in Florida, and it has not been just the little Acme, add water, and
Right.
And I'm just saying that's the reality. It's hard to take the gospel to people that are not wanting to hear,
Right.
or are hearing and then moving or whatever.
Right,
and I'm
right.
just saying, I think it's, hey, bring that bug spray over to Paul.
Yeah,
He's
getting lit up. Thanks.
We're in Minnesota
Yeah.
out at dusk,
It's
getting eaten alive by the bugs. But I'm just saying, Paul, you have always led by example. The Shanes, the Codys, everybody else looking up to you, Mark looking at and I want people to realize being a great, faithful teacher of the word, pastor, experienced leader does not equal sign instant success. And I want them to see that endurance of faith that you still bring, the confidence. This is still where God has brought me.
Yeah.
I'm not giving up. I'm not taking my ball and going home.
Yeah.
This is the place God has called me to. And I want that to be the impulse of young leaders. And that's where I think you're going to have
the other aspect of those early days at Cornerstone. I mean, just seeing all you guys, you from a distance more at that time, Mark, you up close, Paul, you, Jeff, and Troy, was just the radical authenticity that marked Cornerstone. So you had this ambition, let's plant churches. You had, incubating leaders and guys leaving with weeping and all that. And then just this radical humility that just pervaded the place, that was so beautiful. And so I'm so thankful that it was in kind of my most formative years that I was shaped in that environment.
Yeah, there was a sort of dream team, delightful, like it didn't matter. Like we never knew we were below the poverty line. Honestly, we didn't know. I didn't know. Oh, this is, you use these things, it gets you a block of cheese. This one gets you milk. This one gets you formula. I'm like, fantastic. Is this a bonus? Did I get a bonus? Because I got extra credit, like stickers that work at Aldi or whatever. But it was just such a sweet time of ministry, seeing the Lord.
Oh my word!
How do you balance the tension of that we thought that's all there was? We were so, because I describe it as like when they asked Jeff and Troy, like, what would you want to go to Iowa City? Would you? And it was like someone asking a kid if they want to leave the candy aisle. Like, yeah, this is it. Like, why would I want to leave?
Yeah,
and it's. How do you balance, like, because I was, in Ames for 15 years.
Right.
And I think, and that's where, being discipled and all that now with kind of a more of a, you're at a place a year or 2 or 3, maybe 4, and sent off. What do you think about that tension of expansion and health, of speed and time, and the urgency we feel with the Great Commission, but also the respecting the process of the time, and that we had. Will anybody get the opportunity that we had to stay in a place for 15 years? Yeah.
I think they might around me. I mean, I wouldn't have said that some years ago. Me, Mark, I've always probably wanted to go faster, and you're a little bit more like, let's go deeper. Let's go deeper. And I feel like I've had my foot more on that gas pedal, maybe you on the brakes. And I don't mean that there's nothing negative in that. Like the people that come out, the churches that are getting planted, such health, such beauty in that. But I feel like I've leaned a different direction, and I feel like I'm walking that back, and just going, man, I'd rather have health every time, and then just the sweetness of friendships, just doing that. So I don't feel like I'm in any hurry, maybe I did feel like that more of a, I feel like God's touched my heart to want others to have a passion for some things and want other churches to care about lost people and the 1040 window and lost nations and maybe expand those things, take great steps towards that. But as far as like get out, go, no, I mean, I don't know, maybe it's because we've cried so many tears, and there's a little bit of a slowness, but I think there is you can't microwave what happened with us. No one got more time poured into their lives, Mark, than you and I. I mean, I tell people, I'm like, hey, here's what I got. I got one-on-one discipleship every year of my college from either Jeff Dodge, Troy Nesbitt, or Harold Nesbitt, or Pete Matthews. Every semester, I just found out who do I get to meet with this year? And someone, either an old Audi that Jeff drew was going to pick me up, some black thing that Troy drew, some purple Subaru that Pete drove.
Yeah.
I don't even know what Harold drove. Like, I just knew a different car was going to meet me at Black Engineering. It was going to pull on up. We were going to go get our super cheap Happy Meals or whatever we did. I was going to think, oh, I'm about to get encouraged. And then I got really leveled with rebuke. And it was like,
Paul, can you tell... You've been rebuked by Jeff. Can you tell one of the...
No, this is a happy day.
Yeah. Dude, which do you want? Honestly, when we were in the seminary class, I don't know if this was you, Drew, or this was Cody and I, but here's the thing. Go to seminary and get an A on systematic theology. Not everyone then gets invited back down to Jeff's office at the end and gets scolded for being my age, a leader among our class, and showing disrespect to both him and Dr. Niehoff, who was in the class, because I was just being a class clown and I had taken it too far and I was being rude and disrespectful. I'm like, I needed every bit of that. One of the best rebukes.
You're saying Jeff did that?
Jeff did that to me.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I felt who got that rebuke with me? There's
Here's
a
the
couple
crazy
in your
thing.
classroom.
One of those was actually shockingly Mike Easton, who's like the least likely guy to be rude.
He's
anyway.
a prince of all princes.
Yeah.
Honestly, the one I remember the most is we got our Happy Meals and no, seriously, they were like,
it is true.
They were like, they're all American meals. Whatever it was $2 and some cents. It was like the little burger,
like a dime-sized burger.
Oh, dude, it was, my granddaughter eats more for a lunch. So we're eating our Happy Meals and I was sitting there and Jeff's like, yeah, I was just reading in 1 Kings 3 the other day. And I thought, oh, it's fantastic in my heart because I'm like, I just read it. I'm ready to offer almost anything, just to keep pace with Jeff. He's like, yeah, I was reading 1 Kings 3 and, Solomon, he's praying to God for wisdom, right, Jeff? Wisdom, I was there. I was in it. And
You're completing his sentences.
Yeah, you go ahead and tell the story. You tell it. We'll let you go first. No, it wasn't. But he's just talking about, and he goes, wisdom, turns out it's, he was actually asking for discernment. He was a listening heart is what he was asking for. God, give me a listening heart. I'm like, oh, wow, he did do something I didn't know right there. But other than that, I know everything he knows right now that he's sharing with me. And then he said, Paul, the reason I bring that up is because it is clear to me you are not a listener to the women on our staff team, and you are showing disrespect to them. And I don't know where the burger was in my throat at that point, but I did not seem to have the strength in my body to swallow it and make it go down anymore.
You get the toy out at this point?
Dude,
twisting the little... I'm just imagining you twisting the little thing on the dinosaur and it's kind of...
shaking across the table.
Yeah, exactly.
I just wanted to crawl into that bag and hide. And I'm like, what do you mean? No, I did. He just continued and he said, and I know their names and I know what he's talking about because I can see it in my mind's eye in his basement. And he said this, he goes, Paul, when you speak, you're looking at everyone and you expect everyone to be listening to you. You're just looking at eyes and talking and you're just engaging. Everyone's listening. And I have watched when some of the women on our staff team begin to speak. That's just time for you to joke around and not listen to them, you are not a good listener. And I'm like, I could barely eat. I could barely eat my food because someone loved me enough to come through the front door and say, I read something in my Bible, God brought you to mind, and I could not say that I love you unless I said this to you. And I just felt like, how many times have I passed that on? How many times have I seen that in someone else? And
I still remember the moment too, because you literally had the burger up to your mouth and slowly just
just
goes back.
It's the worst
to your
burger. That's why I don't eat there anymore. I've just stopped eating Happy Meals ever since. That was my last Happy Meal. It was a sad meal, is what that was. Nothing happy about that meal.
Can I just
saddest
say
Happy Meal I've ever had in my life.
This is what true friendship's all about, right? We've had hard conversation, way more laughs, way more even tears of mutually sharing each other's burdens and family issues, whatever it was, moves. So it all just kind of gets put into this beautiful pot, called friendship. You know what I mean? That it's all the above, and it's.
Well, you cry the tears when you leave because someone loved you enough to say the hard things. I had my junior high yearbook out the other day, and I was looking at what people wrote in my junior high yearbook. It's worthless. It's a bunch of stuff like, "Oh, you're awesome. You're the best. Don't change a thing."
Never change.
Can you imagine if you're like, I'm going to take that advice? If every junior high was like, I've reached the pinnacle, never change.
Anyone ever says that about any junior higher, they know nothing about life.
Only their junior high.
Jesus is the only, his yearbook was the only one who, if they said that, you should not change a thing. You're awesome. But I'm like, see, this is worthless, but this is the perspective of people your age. And then God gives you
just
a friend.
turn that into a gospel presentation.
Dude,
but they weren't writing that in Jesus' yearbook. They were giving him wedgies.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Yeah. So,
it's too far?
Yeah. No, I was just.
But it's
here's what I'm going to say. This is a really great conversation. I am getting eaten alive. I don't know
about you guys, but we gotta end this thing
off. It's so fun, but man, the Minnesota State bird is like all over me.
I tell you what, BioLife won't take my blood anymore. I see what you did here, but the mosquitoes have no problem.
It's not even dusk.
Firmly
it's
deferred,
just dark.
not Minnesota.
And then here's the worst thing. Mark picked up the bug spray before we got up here.
Dude.
It's like vanilla scented. It only draws him. It's like
I was ordering all the stuff online, and I saw this that's the stuff like the natural. It's like a little bit of no DEET.
Is there DEET in this thing? I'm looking at the ingredients. Dude, there's no DEET. Give me the chemical. We're in Minnesota right now.
Yeah, so maybe we need to. Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, we. So. Oh man, there's so much I want to talk to you guys about. I had a big question. I needed counseling.
And we got a couple days ahead of us, Mark.
You
do.
And so we're not going to get to any of that, and I'm really sad about that. But I'm actually more excited to put down the mics, and we got an epic campfire going. Joe, I've got a toast for your birthday coming up, and we're gonna share some sweet time together. So let's get this over with. But we always
I guess that's how we end it.
Thanks for that.
Here. All right.
Thanks for joining us.
That's the good word. Let's get this
for nothing.
Now everyone who listened to the podcast can go and
enjoy that waste
meal.
of time.
Yeah.
By themselves.
We always end with a benediction, just a word of gospel, good news, blessing. Paul, do the honors as we close. Just think about what the people listening. You're obviously speaking to us in the context here. What's just a good word to end our time?
Yeah, the phrase that just bounced in my head when you said that is a phrase I'm stealing from an author, Joby Martin, a book I've been reading. And repeatedly in his book, he says, because the tomb is empty, anything is possible. And I think because the tomb is empty, you might just step into a season of friendships that are like the friendships we've had and continue to have. Like you could develop friendships that you will cry your eyes out when you say goodbye, and you will laugh your head off with delight when you see each other. I know the Shire and all things hobbits is celebrated among this group. And the other week, Jenny had them rolling, and I got pulled into the narrative. And the time in Rivendell when, Frodo had lived through it, had lived through the blade that was going to take his life, and his friends were reunited. And they came running in, jumping and laughing and hugging. And it was just like the most childish, innocent joy. I'm telling you, God could have friendships like that for you if you feel alone. Because the tomb is empty, anything's possible. He could use me, who no one would have thought would ever be in a church planting thing. What a joke. What a cosmic joke for the Lord to go, that's what I'll do. I'll use the least and I'll do something. And no one will have any questions who did that. God will get all the glory. I just think because the tomb's empty, there is hope for friendship. There is hope for ministry. There is hope for weak people finding a great strength in God and being used. And
wow, that is a great average pastor word of encouragement. Because the tomb is empty, anything's possible. Thanks for joining us in this conversation. We're just what a joy to be with you guys, and I hope you found something encouraging or just to keep you going in your faith with the Lord. So until next time, thanks for joining us. Have a great week.